Pass on file. File item 228, Senator Bell. Senator Bell, file item 228. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 74 by Assemblymember Calderon, enacting to care facilities.
Senator Bell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this bill will require the Department of Social Services to conduct annual and unannounced business for child daycare centers and family daycare by the year 2019. There have been growing numbers of incidents across California in recent years which have led to dangerous situations for children that are cared for in these facilities. And this bill will ensure that adequate oversight of these facilities while protecting one of the state's most vulnerable population. Has received bipartisan support, received no votes. This is as opposed to 5-year checking. We're trying to get to 1 year by 2019. I urge and I vote on this measure.
Members, debate or discussion on this item. Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a question for the carrier.
Senator Bell, would you like to take a question? Please proceed.
Thank you. Just maybe word it this way. I'm all for this bill. There you go. Okay. Never mind. I'm all for this bill. I'm just curious, are we going to provide more funding so they could have more staffing, or are we asking the current staff to do more work in the time allotted?
I think the goal is to establish that 2019 target date and for the program, and then look at trying to come up the money over the next 4 years.
So it'll cost some money.
Yeah,
we'll provide all the.
We have to pay for it.
Okay. Do we have a cost or a dollar amount at all?
I don't have a dollar amount. No,
and is that derived inside the counties, or will the state provide that money for the counties?
Well, this is a community care licensing, Department of Social Services.
Okay, this is state level. Okay,
yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Members, additional debate or discussion on this item. Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Hueso. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lada. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Senator Bell moves the call. Moving on to item 229, Senator Block. Secretary, please call the roll.
Assembly Bill 1391.
Please read.
Assembly Bill 1391 by Assemblymember Gomez, enacting to pupil instruction and declaring the urges thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator Block.
Thank you, Mr. President. AB 1391 will authorize complaints of noncompliance related to physical education instruction to be filed under uniform complaint procedures. The bill will protect California public schools from unnecessary lawsuits that take funds away from our classrooms. The bill does not expand or restrict a person's right to seek compliance. AB 1204 has received unanimous bipartisan support. There is no opposition. I ask for your aye vote.
Members, debate or discussion on this item. Debate or discussion. Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Hueso. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lada. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. I, Vidak. I, Wachowski. I, Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Senator Block moves the call. Members, moving on to file item 230, Senator Hertzberg. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 193 by Assemblymember Mainshine, an accolade to conservatorships.
Senator Hertzberg.
When someone is severely disabled, the state steps in and creates a conservatorship where the government has the power over the individual, and that language is set forth in the Lanterman-Petra Short Act that has been amended a number of times over the years. There's a gap in that act where there's a mental illness and where someone is not otherwise hospitalized by and under the control of the state. And so what Assemblymember Mainshine is doing with this measure is extending the ability of a court with proper representations to hold hearings to ensure levels of treatment. It's a smart and important measure that fills a critical gap in the Lanterman Act. Ask for your support.
Members, debate or discussion on this item? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. I, Bates. Bell. I, Berryhill. I, Block. I, Canella. I, De Leon. I, Fuller. Gaines. I, Galgiani. I, Glazer. I, Hall. I, Hancock. I, Hernandez. Hertzberg. I, Hill. Wesso. Huff. I, Jackson. I, Lada.
Aye.
I, Leno. I, Leva. I, Liu. I, McGuire. I, Mendoza. I, Mitchell. I, Monning. I, Morlock. I, Morrell. I, Wynn. I, Nilsson. I, Pan. I, Pavley. I, Roth. I, Runner. I, Stone. I, Vidak. I, Wachowski. I, Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Senator Hertzberg moves the call. Members, the next items are as follows. File item 231, Senator Bell. 232, McGuire. 233, Senator Hernandez. 234, Senator Canella. And 235, Senator Hill. 231, Senator Bell. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1236 by Assemblymember Chu and accolating to local ordinances.
Senator Bell.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senators. This bill will expand our state electric vehicle infrastructure, bringing down cost of electric vehicles, which we need to do to reduce our auto emissions. According to the California Air Resources Board, over 90% of Californians breathe unhealthy levels of one or more air pollutants, much of which comes from cars and trucks on our roads and highways. And California has an aggressive goal of going from 100,000 electric vehicles today to 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles over the next 10 years by the year 2025. California's Energy Commission has estimated our state will need almost 200,000 charging stations to meet our goal. Unfortunately, a major impediment to more of the EV charging stations has been the lack of certainty and uniformity in the local patchwork of hundreds of regulations for these charging stations. Requirements, the amount of time to obtain a permit differs dramatically from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, even though the same electric vehicle charging station is being installed in the same kind of commercial building or single-family home, and so forth. This bill will lower the cost of installation, streamline permitting, expand infrastructure to meet and improve our air quality and health impacts of our streets and freeways. I urge and I vote on this measure.
Members, debate or discussion on this item? Debate or discussion? Senator Anderson. Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a question for the author.
Senator Bell, would you like to take a question?
Yes, fine.
Please proceed.
Just curious, we're trying to, or we're discussing increasing the gas tax per gallon, but we're trying to move everyone over to electric cars. And I'm wondering, are those reconcilable? What am I missing?
I think we're trying to reduce air pollution. This is the purpose of this bill, is to increase the number of electric charging stations by streamlining the permit processing. It doesn't really have anything to do with the amount of gasoline taxes that are raised or lowered.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to repair roads if we're reducing the amount of cars using gas. I'll work on it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Anderson.
Senators, I rise in opposition, not because I'm against the goal and the purpose, but because I'm concerned it's too premature. You know, in many of our rural counties, we're going to be putting a burden on them by giving preferential treatment to putting these sites in versus complying with ADA. And I would rather see that we finish our curbs and making sure that disabled people have access throughout California before I encourage people with electric cars. And you know, I have a gas electric hybrid that you plug in, and I certainly understand the importance of being able to plug in down the road and how great that is. But you know what? I have way more disabled people in my district who deserve access to all our roads and streets and sidewalks than I do rich people who own electric cars. The average Joe can't afford an electric car. The range of an electric car is not significant enough now unless you buy a very expensive electric car in excess of $60,000, $70,000. I mean, many of these cars are $100 grand. You know, I cringe when I pay more than 20 grand. That's why I frequently buy used cars. So when we're thinking about these rural communities, this is a burden on them. If you live out in a rural area, you're not going to have an electric car because you don't have the range to go where you need to go just to get to the main city. And especially if you're in Central Valley and other places where you've got your air conditioner going, maybe you like to listen to road conditions on your radio because so often Caltrans has failed to build roads that are navigatable. And so you're burning down that electricity as fast as you can, and maybe the car has a range of 75 miles, but maybe you're only going to get 50 out of it because you're running all these other things. And then if it's at night, because it doesn't necessarily cool down in Central Valley, you may have the air conditioner going and your headlights, and then maybe you're only getting 40 miles, and 40 miles isn't very far. So I'm not opposed to this bill, but I'd rather put people with disabilities first before I put rich people in electric cars. And so I gladly support this once we meet all those other concerns. I urge a no vote.
Senator Nielsen.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I would echo the argument related to rural areas, of which I've represented so many of. Over 19 different counties, most of them rural. Rural drivers are not prepared for the electric vehicles. Either the cost or, as Senator Anderson indicates, the paucity of places to recharge. You know, this technology with the electric car, I don't know, it's not new, but I would characterize as kind of Star Wars, a little far out there for us. Maybe we'll get there, but we will not, I'll argue, ever get there in substitution for fossil fuels. But the issue, more importantly, is the accessibility and forcing this particular technology, this particular vehicle, and granting local governments the ability to do expeditiously the permitting. Now, if we really want to do something big, and I mean big, and I consider this only very little, if we really want to do something big as a legislature, let's give our local governments the ability to fast-track permitting on local streets and roads. Let's give ourselves the ability to fast-track the construction of our highways with what money we have. If we want to really help the motoring public, that's the answer, not this minuscule step of some Star Wars dreamy thing that may someday become true.
Members, additional debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Bell, would you like to close?
Yes, I respond to a couple points. First of all, this is regarding the construction of electric vehicle charging stations. It's very common for building codes to have uniformity, and this is all it does with this bill. It creates a uniform standardization for electric vehicle charging stations throughout the state. Secondly, this is a fee-based program. It does not take away from disabled people. It does not take away from rural areas or anything else. This is a program that is a permit that is granted to people to construct these electric vehicle charging stations like a building permit. So it's entirely 100% fee-based. The fee is collected if the local government completely has the jurisdictional right to set the fee for this, and it's entirely cost recovery. So I urge and I vote, and we want to expedite these electric vehicle charging stations. It would help our state reduce air pollution.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. No. Bates. No. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. No. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Gaggiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Wesso. Huff. No. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. Nilsson. No. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. No. Stone. No. Vidak. No. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Senator Bell moves the call. Members, moving on to item 232, Senator McGuire. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 401 by Assemblymember Dodd, an act relating to low-income water assistance.
Senator McGuire.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good to see you again. Assembly Bill 401 by Assemblymember Dodd requires the State Water Resources Control Board to recommend a plan for a statewide low-income drinking water rate assistance program. The California legislature established a human right to clean water back in 2012. Water affordability is a central element to water access and thriving communities. When the cost of water is unaffordable, it can pose a health and safety issue. There are a number of water districts with a small and/or declining ratepayer base, and these districts often increase their water rates to cover their rising infrastructure and operating costs. In some service areas, such as the community of Lucerne in beautiful Lake County, water rates have jumped as much as 300% since 2006. Now, this is with a median household income of $25,000. Making water affordable is a complex problem. California currently has a low-income home energy assistance program, but nothing similar for water rate assistance across the state. AB 401 takes a step towards drinking water affordability by directing the Water Board to report to the legislature with recommendations on possible statewide solutions by 2018. Any recommendations would be subject to future legislative approval. There is no opposition to this bill and would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Members, debate or discussion on this item? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. No. Bates. No. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. No. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Fuller. Gaines. No. Gaggiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Wesso. Huff. No. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. No. Nilsson. No. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. No. Stone. No. Vidak. Aye. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Senator McGuire moves the
Hill,
call.
aye.
Moving on to item 233, Senator Hernandez. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1194 by Assemblymember Eggman, and Act relating to mental health.
Senator Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, the Latterman Act, LPS Act, allows the involuntary commitment and treatment of individuals with a mental disorder. The purpose of this involuntary commitment is to provide for prompt evaluation and treatment, the protection of the individual and their rights, and to ensure the public safety. Unfortunately, the application of involuntary commitment, otherwise known as the 5150, is inconsistently applied. Some law enforcement departments and county mental health agencies are interpreting the term danger to others or himself or herself to only apply to situations where the individual being evaluated is an immediate danger to others or themselves. However, Legislative Counsel has opined that the term danger is used in Welfare and Institution Code Section 5150 is not limited to danger of imminent harm. The bill simply clarifies that danger or risk of harm shall not be limited to imminent or immediate risk of harm to others or to themselves and require consideration of the historical course of the person's mental health disorders. Finally, this bill would require a 5150 custody from the record whether the historical course of a person's mental disorder was considered. And with that, members, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Members, debate or discussion on this item? Debate or discussion? Senator Nielsen.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is an important bill. The 5150, danger to self and others, and there's another aspect of it later related to psychiatric revocation and mentally disordered offenders if they're danger to self and others in need of treatment that's not available in the community. That's kind of the test. But this danger issue that the senator makes a point of is very important now, because understand we have a vast number of these type individuals in need of treatment in our communities that didn't used to be in our communities. This tool will help us significantly grab a fewer of those and get them into needed treatment rather than remaining a danger to themselves and others.
Members, additional debate or discussion on this item? Senator Hernandez, would you like to close?
Thank you. I just respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Members, is there objection to using a unanimous roll call? Members, we're going to be calling the roll on the items now. Without objection, ayes 39, no 0. The measure passes. Members, we're going to go back to the items that we have on call, starting with file item 16, governor's appointments. File item 16, members. Oh, 116. Apologize for that. 116. Secretary, call the absent members.
Huff. Jackson. I, Mendoza. I, Mitchell. I, Wynn. I.
Ayes 31, noes 8. The appointments is confirmed. File item 117. Members, file item 117. Secretary, call the absent members.
Bates. No. Cannella. Hertzberg. I, Huff. Jackson. I, Mendoza. I, Mitchell. I, Wynn. No. Runner. No. Berryhill, I don't know.
Ayes 26, noes 12. The appointment is confirmed in. Members, we're going to lift the call on a whole host of items that we have, so please pay attention. We want to get these done as quickly as possible. Moving on, members, with file item 188, AB 1200. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Bates. Berryhill. Cannella. De Leon. Fuller. Gaines. Hertzberg. Hueso. I. Huff. Monning. Morlock. Morrell. Wynn. Morrell, aye. Wynn.
Senator Allen moves the call. Moving on to file item 195, AB 428. Secretary, call the absent members.
De Leon. Gaines. Wesso. Aye. Morrell. Pavley. Aye. Gaines, aye.
Ayes 37, noes 1. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 198, AB 15. 198, members, file item 198. Secretary, call the absent members.
De Leon. Gaines. Wesso. Gaines, aye. Wesso, aye. Pavley. Aye.
Ayes 39, no 0. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 199, AB 389. Secretary, call the absent members.
De Leon. Wesso. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Pavley. Aye.
Ayes 39, no 0. Measure passes. File item 200, AB 564. Secretary, call the absent members.
De Leon. Gaines. Aye. Mitchell. Aye.
Ayes 39, no 0. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 207, AB 1482. Secretary, please call the absent members.
De Leon. Mitchell. Aye. Wynn. Nilsson. No. Wynn, no.
Ayes 26, noes 13. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 212, AB 1536. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Berryhill. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Mitchell. Wynn. Wynn, aye. Mitchell, aye.
Ayes 40, no 0. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 213, AB 1043. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Berryhill. No. Gaines. Galgioni. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Bates. Aye to no.
Ayes 31, noes 8. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 215, ACR 101. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Hill. Aye. Huff. Mitchell. Aye. Nielsen. Aye. Runner. Huff, aye. Runner, aye.
Ayes 40, no 0. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 216, ACR 102. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Aye. Mitchell. Aye.
Ayes 40, no 0. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 217, HAR 22. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. No. Bates. No. Berryhill. No. De Leon. Fuller. Hertzberg. Aye. Huff. No. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Nilsson. No. Runner. No. Monning, aye.
Ayes 28, noes 10. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 218, AB 668. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Aye. Canella. Aye. Nilsson. Aye.
Ayes 40, no 0. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 219, AB 172. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Aye.
Ayes 40, no 0. Measure passes. Moving on, file item 220, AB 1131. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Aye. De Leon.
Ayes 39, no 0. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 221, members. File item 221, AB 764. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Aye. Wykowski. Aye.
Ayes 40, no 0. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 222, AB 1204. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. McGuire. Berryhill, aye. McGuire, aye. Wykowski. Aye.
Ayes 40, no zero. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 224, AB 1228. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. I. Bates. I. Berryhill. Hernandez. I. Hill. Berryhill, I. Hill, I. Weso. I. Morlock. I. Wachowski. Aye.
Ayes 40, no zero. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 225, AB 40. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. No. Bates. No. Berryhill. No. Hernandez. I. Hill. I. Weso. I. Wachowski. Aye.
Ayes 29, noes 11. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 226, AB 387. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Anderson. Berryhill. Anderson, I. Berryhill. I. Glazer. I. Hernandez. I. Hill. I. Weso. I. Mitchell. Aye.
Ayes 40, no zero. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 228, AB 74. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Fuller. I. Hernandez. I. Hill. I. Weso. Aye.
Ayes 40, no zero. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 229, AB 1391. Members, file item 229, AB 1391. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Fuller. I. Hernandez. I. Hill. I. Weso. Aye.
Ayes 40, no zero on the urgency. Ayes 40, no zero on the measure. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 230, AB 193. Secretary, call the absent members.
Allen. Bates. I. Fuller. I. Hernandez. I. Hill. I. Weso. Aye.
Ayes 39, no zero. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 231, AB 1236. Secretary, call the absent members.
De Leon. Weso. I. Win.
Ayes 26, noes 12. Measure passes. Moving on to item 232, AB 401. Secretary, please call the absent members.
De Leon. Fuller. No. Weso. Aye.
Ayes 27, noes 12. The measure passes. Members, we are back on our third reading, Assembly third reading. Just to remind you, we are at file item 234, Senator Canela, 235, Senator Hill, 237, Senator Monning, 238, Senator Liu.